Good morning, it's Shanna. I am super excited to announce, as you can see, that the second edition of Little Bird Tarot has arrived. And we're going to be doing a walkthrough, a comparison, and then some pairings at the end. So, when will I be opening pre-orders? That will be August 5th, which is next Wednesday. The deck is essentially ready to go, minus a couple of edits, which I'll kind of get into as we go. But none of them, I don't think, should postpone the pre-orders. Now, I know in past posts or blogs or videos or whatever, I've gone back and forth as to whether or not I wanted to do direct sales through my printer or if I wanted to do Etsy or how I wanted to do that, and I've gone back and forth on what I've settled on. However, I think what I have finally for sure settled on, I won't even say I think, what I have settled on is that I'm going to do pre-orders, as I mentioned, next week. Based on those, I will then order some more decks. I don't know how many. It will kind of depend on how many you guys buy. Obviously, the more that get purchased, the cheaper it is for me, which means the cheaper it is for you guys, which is why I decided not to do it through my printer, because if I send you there and you have to buy the deck, and the guidebook and the book, or excuse me, the guidebook and the box, it's going to be expensive. It was expensive for me to buy this one, and I'm not comfortable having people pay that, and then at the end of the day, if we're being completely transparent, I won't make any money. Like, I'll make $0 because I'm not going to charge you more than a single deck from the printer. It doesn't make sense. So my hope is that I can get enough of a pre-order that it's not going to cost me an arm and a leg to get to a tier that I'm comfortable purchasing quantities of. Hopefully that made sense. Regardless, I will be ordering, I'll be honoring whatever pre-orders come through, regardless of how many there are, and making it work. So if I make $5 on each deck, then so be it. But I will be doing that. Now, I don't know if I'll continue doing that. Like, I don't know if I'm going to get a ton of decks and have them on Etsy and continue to sell them. That's my plan. If I sell 6 decks though, if 6 people pre-order, I'm probably not going to be ordering 100 decks, right? Because it's going to be expensive for me to do that. So I don't know. I'm not sure how many I will order. I don't know how many will be available. The intent though is to, funnel that money, whatever I make, back into another order. So that's the plan, and I'm hoping it will be able to continue funneling back into the orders and I can maintain a stock. All of that being said, if I have just a few pre-orders and I can only get a few on top of that, and I don't keep them stocked in Etsy, I'm not planning on having this go out of print. I will, similarly to the way that the Tree Whisper Oracle, the lady who does that, what is her name? Mags Black. The way that she does it is she just opens up pre-orders a couple times a year, or once a year, and then orders them that way. And that's probably how I'll do it if I'm just getting a few orders. It just makes more sense that way. So all of that being said, if you have any questions as we go through the walkthrough, feel free to leave comments below. Let me know what you think. I won't be making any changes, so if you have suggestions on design edits, okay, but I'm not changing anything other than if you see like a mistake or something, by all means, please do let me know so that I can catch it before I send a final print run. So all of that being said, let's just dive right in. So obviously this is the original first edition. This is the second edition. And if you can tell, there's this, like a transparent box that I've put over top of the image in the background so that you can see the text easier. And it is off center a little. It's not quite over this side as far as I want. So that will be edited. It'll be bigger. It'll come to the edge. I am going to change the layout of the text here. I think this will be a little bigger and more here versus here. And then this I will probably push down just a little. Nothing crazy, just a little bit of a design change there. The biggest difference that I'm excited about is the side of the box. I've decided to add the title and information on the side so that when you put it on your bookshelf, you can see what the deck is. I like the way this looks, but I really like having decks that say what they are because I do tend to store them this way, so I thought that was a nice touch. This is, again, slightly off-center, so that will be corrected to the best of my ability. Again, this is just me doing a thing, so, you know, whatever design experience I have just in doing these things, that's what I have. You know, I didn't go to school for this, so yeah, this is the other side of the box. This one's far more centered. I will probably be moving it up just a little because it feels like it's a little close here. But besides that, those are the things on the box that will be changed. Here is the back. The text I've changed a little bit. I've changed the images. It has a new UPC code. And that's pretty much all the changes. Everything else is essentially the same. So I'm going to open this up. And so this is the, I don't know, it's not the title card. It's the little poem that I included. This is the title card, excuse me, this one is, of the first edition. This is the poem card that comes with it. And I will have another one of these with the second edition. I haven't created it yet. I used this extra card in printing to test out another back that I wanted to look at. So that will be a surprise. Okay, so we're going to come back to the box here in just a second. So here are the backs of the first edition. And then we're actually not, I'm going to set this aside. I'm getting ahead of myself. I got to slow down. So the image here on the lid is just an image I found. It's just random text. It was just an image of text. That was what it was. So this time, however, I went in and I found some of John James Audubon's writings, and I created an image from that. So this is actual writing, it's not his penmanship, it's his words that he's written. Does that make sense? They're his words. I've put them in. I've used my own font, but I liked that. I liked the little extra touch of just, his words on there. So if you want to pause, feel free. I tried to center in a way that, it talks about the red-eyed vireo. Let's see, sounds, falling in sweet modulation. I don't know. I just thought it was nice, the text on there that's his writing. So the boxes are identical otherwise. And okay, let's talk about the book before we get into the deck. So we have first edition, second edition, making sure the record is still on. Okay, so I'm not going to go through page by page. However, I will show you first edition's on the left, second edition's on the right. I think this one looks a little fluffier just because A, I have a feather in there, and B, it's been used. So, it's been opened 100 times. I've also added colors corresponding to each of the suits. So you can see that there. I was really excited about this. So the majors are purple, wands are red, swords are gray, and then cups are blue. I am thrilled with the way this turned out. And pentacles are kind of a tan gold. So that's that. The second edition does say the second edition, as well as on the side. And then first edition, second edition. So just a few changes just to, so that you can tell the difference if you do happen to have both editions. That was really important to me to be able to distinguish. Okay, so differences, I will do my best to hold these open here. First page is identical other than the year. Okay, sorry. I had to let my cat in my son's bedroom because he's meowing behind me. Okay, back to where we were. So, first page, I've changed the image. I've changed the introduction here. The welcome message is identical to the first. Identical. And identical. So all of this is the same. Then I have a new image here in the second edition, which I liked this one. I liked it. However, this little band down here kind of drove me nuts. I chose to ignore it. However, in this edition, I just chose a different image altogether. And I really love the way it turned out. I thought it was really pretty. I love the detail. And there's no band. So next, so everything is identical in the book, except for, let me rephrase this. All the card information for all the cards that were not changed is identical. I didn't make any changes that way. Other than, I know there were a few edits I've mentioned in the past, grammatical things or punctuation, that kind of thing. Those things have been edited. Hopefully I caught them all. And then obviously, you know, I added the corner colors. So the other thing that was updated is every card that had a journal prompt has a new journal prompt. None of them are the same. So that was really important to me. I wanted to make sure that if someone did purchase, you know, the second edition, in addition to the first, if they already had the first, that they would have new journal prompts. So that wasn't the plan originally, but once I got into it, it just made sense to do that. So any card that did have one will have an updated prompt. So now, in addition to that, some of them, I kept all the field notes the same. I liked the quotes that I found for Audubon. A lot of them corresponded to the card. So, you know, that was just important for me to keep the same. So the other thing that I did was some of these, and if I'm the right one, let's see, let's go to 10 of Wands. I know that one's different. So any of the journal prompts, I liked to add just like a transparent image behind. And so those have all been changed for each of the journal prompts. And then some of the journal prompts I changed into a ritual. Some of the journal prompts will have a ritual with it. Some of them are just a ritual. But yeah, there are a handful of rituals in here that I felt resonated or pertained to a bird deck. So, and then the citations in the back are the same, although there will be one extra citation because there was something that I added. I can't remember what it was, but there'll be 22 citations. But besides that, the guidebook is the same. I'm really proud of the way it turned out. I enjoyed writing it, and I'm loving these corners. They just turned out exactly how I had hoped. So all of that, let's go ahead and pull out the cards. So we have, now with much deliberation, I went back and forth again on what back I wanted to incorporate. I knew I wanted it to be different. It felt important to me to, you know, keep the first edition unique, especially because it was a Kickstarter. And, you know, I had 179, I believe, backers who believed in this project enough to back it, and I wanted their edition to be unique and special. So I wanted the second edition back to be different. However, I couldn't decide on a design that I liked that didn't feel clip art-y. So I went in and just changed the color of William Morris's original Blackthorn image. And I love it. I think it turned out beautiful. I like the, you know, it's like almost a turquoise blue and like a sage green and a darker green and then like a navy blue. And I think it's beautiful, and I think it it just, you know, embodies the second edition energy quite well. So I do have the title card for the first edition, but it's in the box and I don't think that's important, so I'm not going to pull it out. But this is the title card for the second edition. It has my Instagram and my YouTube, you know, name. Second edition 2025. And then the card itself, you know, matches the box. So it's more of a green theme, which I really liked. And I feel like, you know, it goes well together. So the first obvious thing that I've changed is the banner color. I went with a much more natural color. The white was not really it wasn't supposed to be white. And as you can see in, I don't know, probably the Queen of Cups, I believe. Okay, the Page of Cups. You can see that it's transparent. But unless there's actually something behind it, it just looks like a white banner, and it felt a little bit stark. It wasn't quite what I had envisioned. So I went with a little bit more natural color. This is also transparent, so there are a few images with some of the image behind it, which is fine. That doesn't bother me. The font and the text is identical. The size is identical. Everything else is the same. Now, color-wise, I don't know if you can tell, the second edition is slightly less yellow. That's really the only difference. I would say the first edition is slightly more saturated. You get a little more saturation in the red, a little more saturation in the greens and the blues. But overall, if you didn't know, I would say this is equally as beautiful. I don't think it's, you know, I don't think it's faded. I don't think it's lacking. So it's just a difference in print runs. You know, it's been a couple years. Again, because the first edition has been shuffled many times, it looks a little fluffier than the second. It's the exact same cardstock, linen, and it's a joy to shuffle. So let's just go through and I will show you each of the cards so that you can see any color differences and the way the banner looks on each of them. And I'm going to just do this part silently, other than any of the changed cards or anything I feel like I need to mention. Okay, so this is the first card I changed. I loved the concept of this chariot because I liked the movement of the bird, and I liked the two down here. It sort of had that chariot or you know, charioteer vibe, but I never really loved the image. I liked the fact that the background was different from the rest of the cards, or from most of the other cards, but I don't know, it just was just kind of it just wasn't quite it for me. Like I accepted it, it was good, it worked in the first edition, but it just wasn't quite what I wanted. So the chariot has a flamingo, which I really, really wanted to incorporate in the first edition, but I just could never quite make him fit in any of the cards. It just didn't quite fit. And so I left him out, sadly. But this time, where I think this is one of 4 cards that were changed. For whatever reason, I was like, the chariot. I want the flamingo for the chariot. So I did a little research. I looked up, you know, same as I did for all the other cards in the first edition. I looked up what Audubon had written about the flamingo, and it just fit. The guidebook entry obviously has been rewritten based around the flamingo, and I'm going to share that one. That'll be the only one that I share. I don't want to share all of them. I just, you know, element of surprise and mystery, right? But I will share this one because I loved the way it fitted. Yes, that's a word. I loved the way it fit. So it says, because the American flamingo can stand up to 5 feet high. Audubon was obliged to depict the bird bending down, about to dip his beak into the water. With unwavering focus, the flamingo dedicates most of its waking hours to feeding, filtering algae and small crustaceans through specialized bristles in its beak. This persistent pursuit of sustenance requires no external motivation and instead flows from perfect alignment with natural purpose. Its brilliant pink plumage emerges not from birth, but from what it chooses to consume. Like Jung's persona, the carefully constructed mask we develop through life's experiences. You stand at the threshold of discovering your own effortless power, the ability to find perfect balance, not through strain, but through proper positioning and natural flow. Like the chariot's charioteer who achieves control through harmony with opposing forces, the flamingo demonstrates that true mastery comes from understanding your essential nature rather than fighting against it. Maintaining perfect stillness, you can learn to direct your will toward a singular purpose, transforming gradually through conscious choices until you embody the very essence of what you seek to become. And then there's a journal prompt. And I don't know, it was perfect. And I couldn't have asked for a better outcome for that choice. Plus, look how beautiful he is. Love him. Okay. This is one that for some reason the number was wrong. I think somehow I took the banner from, in the first edition I had considered doing 2 strengths and 2 justices. I think that's what the issue was. Anyway, it was a banner from an old version of the drafts that I had done originally. So this has already been fixed. It will be fixed and changed in the second edition, in the edition that you receive. zoomed in a bit so that the king is a little bigger, which, for whatever reason, I just didn't do that in the first edition. Love the way this one turned out. I just, I feel like it takes up the card space a little better. colors are so minimally different that, you know, I just don't really see much of a difference when you're not holding them directly next to each other. Okay, this is another one that I changed. It was just another one that I struggled to find the right card, the one that really like resonated with its meaning and the depiction of the bird. And so I kind of wanted to dig back in and find one that I felt was equally as good, but went a little deeper. And this is the American Goldfinch with the common thistle. This is another one that I zoomed in, so we got a bigger picture on the card. This is one where, you know, the banner, you can clearly see the background behind the banner. This one, the background blends into the banner, which does tend to kind of eat up the top of the top of the letters, but I kind of don't care. We all know what it is. You can still read it. I just think this banner blends in a lot better, so. This is another card that I changed for much the same reason as the others. I just, you know, of course I had cards that were not in the top of my favorites, and so those were the ones I changed. They were just ones that I felt like I could find something better, and I feel like I did. So this one is what? Seven of Pentacles. You would think I'd have these memorized, but shockingly I don't. This is the American Redstart with a wasp and the ironwood tree. So let's go ahead and pull out some pairs, see how they look together. I'm going to go ahead and give this a quick shuffle. All right, first, because I know you're all curious, anyone who doesn't already have both of these, I have the Spiritual Meaning of Birds. This is by Erin Murphy Hiscock. Some of the artwork is hers, some of the artwork is John James Audubon. Not sure why I have those separated, but anyway. I do feel that because this one is a little less yellow, this second edition, I'm hoping that it fits more aesthetic with some of these cooler toned decks, because I prefer the first edition with my jewel toned oracles versus like more of a natural or a cool toned deck. So we shall see. And I won't go through the whole deck. I just kind of wanted to show a few together. I do like this one where the background of Little Bird is more tan than yellow. I feel like it does go a little easier than the first edition does, just in my opinion. And so obviously you'll see some crossover with the images. Look at that, that's really cute. Both facing the same way. Okay, so we have a pretty good idea on that one. I do like it. I think I like this paired more so with the second edition than with the first. And I just grabbed some random ones that I kind of thought, that I had originally thought would go well with the Little Bird, but I didn't necessarily care for. So I'm just putting some of these together. This is the Arcana Folia. This is the indie edition. There is a mass market edition through US Games available now. So I'm not gonna futz with the direction of these cards. Mostly I just kind of want to get the aesthetic of it, the general idea. Okay, I lied. I want to see what some of these are. I do like that. Keep track of important matters. 5 of Swords. Like, focus on what matters. Stop arguing over what doesn't. 8 of Cups. True feelings. 3 of Pentacles. Rush of excitement and energy. I actually really do like this together. And I actually need to leave this deck out because it's kind of an end of summer vibe for me. Oh, interesting. Cut off those ties with the devil. Let go of what no longer serves you. Excuse me. I love this. Look out for a divine test. A person from your soul tribe. The Emperor with reflection. Reflection reveals who you are. Yeah, I really like this one. Treasure, protect your energy and space. Okay. I think this is a solid yes for me. Next is another one by Erin Murphy Hiscock. This is the Green Witch's Oracle. And yeah, I do. I really think that this version looks better with the natural cards, where I just really didn't feel like the first edition went with it. Like it was too warm maybe, and so a lot of these natural colored cards just didn't quite vibe, aesthetically at least. 6 of Swords with Fog. Knight of Wands with Presence and Self-Awareness. 10 of Cups with Oak Tree. I really like that actually. New Beginnings and Expansion with the Star. Oh, I really like that. I like the way the stars kind of mirror each other here, or the flowers, excuse me. Rosemary with the Lovers. Remembrance, Loyalty, and Faithfulness. I love this. Oh, you know what? This the Lovers, excuse me, is another card that I changed. I failed to mention that when I was flipping through. So this one is Arkansas Flycatcher. Page of Cups with Soil, Stability, and Simplicity. Actually, I really like this together. King of Swords with Trunk, Stability, Loyalty, and Reliability. I like it. Five of Wands with basil, prosperity, luck, and love. Beautiful. Okay. I have to keep these two decks out. Okay, here's another one that I thought would look good, but I didn't quite feel worked with the first edition as well. Oh, sorry. The Botanicals deck. I do like this. Again, with that first edition, it was a little too warm and yellow. And a lot of cards, at least the ones that I have, are very cool. Look at that. Oh, I love that. Kava. Enter the liminal realm, the metaphysical space betwixt and between with kava. Kava root is a consciousness-shifting herb native to the island of the South Pacific. Kava has been used medicinally and ceremonially since ancient times. Oh, love that. They look so good together. Yes. Even that sort of feels like it mirrors. I really like this. Okay. Let's see, Nine of Swords. Tulsi, also known as holy basil. Tulsi is the queen of herbs, worshipped for its medicinal benefits and healing powers. It's a sacred plant within Hinduism, often found at the center of Hindu homes as a foundational part of puja or prayer. Supports the whole body. Protects it from stress. I adore these two decks together, actually. So I don't want to take up too much more time. I think you kind of get the idea of what pairs well with it. So that's all I have. If you have any questions, concerns, suggestions, feel free to drop them below, and I look forward to, getting this in the hands of those who are interested. So again, I will be opening pre-orders August 5th. I'm not opening them now. I could technically, but I am headed out of town this weekend, and I just kind of want to focus on that. And so I'm pushing it off by 1 week so that I can fully put all my attention and energy in the ordering and questions and email process as they come in. So I appreciate you being here, and I hope you have a lovely week, and I will catch up with you next time.